Have you ever had a strong gut feeling about something in your business, your life, maybe a client, a launch, somewhere, time to go, time to move, or some big decision, and you just ignored it? I know I have. And then later you realized your intuition was right all along. I've been there. I've worked with a lot of people who are there, but those are all learning experiences because those help us to understand really the language of our intuition, which is something I want to talk with you about today. It's something near and dear to my heart in the work that I do and support people with. I'm Prema. Welcome to Your Best Kept Secret to Success. And I want to remind you, like right now, the energy is shifting rapidly. We are in eclipse season. And if you're relying on logic and external strategies, you might feel stuck or like you're just not in sync. Maybe it felt good a week ago, 2 weeks ago, but right now you're starting to question things. This is normal. It's the energetic weather. This is where intuition comes in. Your intuition is your most powerful tool in your business, in your work in the world, and especially when clarity feels hard to find. So, how do you know when it's real intuition versus fear, doubt, or just wishful thinking? Again, that's what we're going to dive into deeply in this episode. How to recognize and strengthen our intuition in business, the role of Vedic astrology and your sacred wealth code in your intuitive decision making. And I'll even share a powerful exercise to really help you to trust your gut and take aligned action. So, this is a very interesting time that we're in. I'm really curious how you're doing, how you're feeling. Wherever you're watching this, if you have an opportunity to comment in, do, or send me a note at askprema at solutionary, SOULTIONARY. And I'm always open for your live questions. And of course, you can always call in at 1-866-451-1451. That's 1-866-451-1451. And if you're watching this live somewhere, you will see that on your screen. But I love to dive in, answer your questions. In fact, we have a question from last episode that we're going to talk about today as well. I got a message from one of my clients this morning saying, hey, Prema, I felt great yesterday and moving forward and everything. And then today I'm really questioning everything that I felt great about yesterday. And I really feel uneasy. And so I reminded her that, yes, we are in eclipse season. What does that mean? We're in a bit of a stormy period of time. And especially this year, March 2025, as I'm recording this, we are in the time of the most planetary shifts of the whole year. Major planets changing sign, eclipse pattern, which is like a storm, two significant retrogrades. Mercury just went retrograde. Yay, I battled with my technology all day yesterday. I shouldn't say I battled. Really, I had to go with the flow of fixing things. And also the cool thing about that was, even though it was not something in my schedule, was one of those annoying things I woke up and didn't know I'd have to master yesterday. I'm really glad that I did because I had no idea that it wasn't working correctly. It was actually the end of my Sacred Wealth archetype quiz. And if you haven't taken that, you'll get one of your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes. Well, it wasn't delivering the answer at the end. So anyway, we got that tech figured out. So the link to that is with the show notes, wherever you're watching that, and you'll get one of your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes. So this is a time I like to say you need to keep your sea legs on. And what that means is the path is shifting, the energy is shifting. I've spent a lot of time sailing, and when you are on a boat, you have got to keep your center, but also be able to be fluid enough and move with the flow. Otherwise, you're going to get really sore, feel very contracted, and usually get seasick. The retrograde energy that we have going on is not only Mercury, and I want to remind you all, and this is just a short energy update. I do my full energy updates on my YouTube channel. But I'd like you to know the flavor of the energy. So if you're listening to this afterwards, this is very relevant to our intuition topic, but our intuition topic in business is always relevant. And this is very much of an evergreen type of an episode. But these patterns happen every 6 months. So even if you missed this one or knowing about this one, it's going to come again in September of 2025. They're usually in the spring and the fall of the year. They are designed, the eclipse pattern is designed, there's always two, sometimes three, to agitate areas of life collectively and personally, depending on your chart, where the planets are. But right now, Pisces and Virgo in Vedic astrology are where the action is. And this access is the practical life details, like, hey, what we're going to do tomorrow in our work and our business and our schedules and all those things. And what's dissolving, what's ending, what's transitioning, and how can we work more energetic with things. And then on top of that, we've got Venus in retrograde. Now, Venus is our, where's my connector? Venus is our great connector in the Sacred Wealth Code archetype system. It's also the artist and the muse. And Venus is exalted in Pisces. That means it's incredibly strong for what it's strong for, which is this place of beauty and love and luxury and connection. And it's a representation of wealth and creativity as well. Well, in this placement with the North Node of the Moon, Rahu, the magician, and with Mercury, our great communicator, but it's very much a messenger in this position right now. It is Venus is really helping us to connect in, not just with each other or with the world in some way, but beyond. And very much holds a lot of our intuition. Now, there's more than Venus when I want to talk about intuition and planets and archetypes. The South Node of the Moon, the mystic, is very, very intuitive. But this aspect right now with Mercury retrograde debilitated in Pisces, that means Mercury, our great messenger and communicator, needs to think out of the box, not logical and linear like Mercury likes to think. We lean on Mercury for that evaluation of things. You're going to have to trust your gut more than ever right now. You're going to have to trust your intuition more than ever, because it is not a time to logic things out. In fact, you're going to feel very confused. You're going to wear yourself out really quickly if you're relying on your logic. And if you're dealing with a lot of frustration, I guarantee you're in your head and not as much in your heart as need be. Now, we always want to play that heart coherence, mind, heart together. Mind is a great tool, but we want it to follow the wisdom of the heart. The mind isn't bad. The ego isn't even bad. Everything has its place, right? But depending on the energetic climate, we might have a certain aspect, certain gifts being more highlighted. And right now it is the gift of intuition, tuning into solutions, into opportunities, into ways of doing things that are beyond the pale. This is a very creative time. And if you're trying to be linear, it is going to be very frustrating for you. The connector, the muse, and the artist, all Venus's archetypes, and whether they're your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes or not, they are in you somewhere. And this is very much the energy of the empath in Pisces. It's a place that can be very emotional, but instead, and there's nothing wrong with emotions, but we do want to manage our own emotions. We want to listen to them as our internal guidance system, know what's an intuitive hit and what is just maybe our circuits getting sort of jammed at this particular period of time. So it's really a time to heighten our understanding, abilities, and use of our intuition, because it's being highlighted right now. And we all have a different wiring for intuition, but I want to speak to the commonality that we all have. So when I say we have a different wiring, our intuition all speaks to us in our own internal language. We sense it, we feel it a little differently. It depends on how you're encoded for that. That's something I go into deeper in readings, and how your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes are playing out for you. But with the energy now, you want to know what you can lean into as far as knowing when, hey, it's time to go, it's time to wait. I see this all the time in readings. Clients second guess their timing because the external world says to go, go, you should have been there yesterday, but their intuition is saying to wait. This is why understanding your personal astrological influences is so important, and my links to my readings are down below. And it helps you to know when to trust that leaning back, that stillness, and when to actually take bold action. During this eclipse period of time, now we'll have our next eclipse, the final eclipse, on the 29th of March. The very next day, Saturn is going to move into Pisces as well, and that's happening in Pisces. Pisces is where all the action is right now, and it's aspecting Virgo. Where is that in your chart? This is a time of a lot of shifts and changes. So it's not that you can't make decisions during this time, because in fact, there will be opportunities, there has been, or there will be opportunities that are arising during this period of time. But you need to know what feels right to say yes to and what feels no. So I want to, before I dive into all the ins and outs about intuition and using that in your business, what I want to invite you to pay attention to, because what this energy can really bring about is something that is mirrored in the collective all the time, with what's coming at you of marketing and programming and things and others wanting to sort of catch your attention, whether it's your money, your viewing time, whatever it is, catch your attention and capitalize on it. Nothing wrong with that, but we want to be selective on where we're spending our energetic currency, because we only have so much of it. So in fact, if you imagine you have $100 worth of energetic currency a day, and you're financing getting up and eating and taking care of things and working in your business, your work in the world, maybe taking care of children, your body, the fears and decisions you know about, the ones you don't know about, your unconscious patterns and such. Most people are bankrupt before they actually have attended to what they want to in a day. So it's not like we're at an energy surplus most of the time. So we want to be able to own as much of our energy as we can. But with this particular time in this configuration, the big reminder here is to watch out for anything that feels like the pressure of urgency, like, oh my God, I have to do that. I've got to buy that thing, or I've got to sign up, or I have to let go of that, or I have to fire that person, or I have to hire that. That's the pushy energy of the North Node of the Moon, of the magician, will absolutely make you feel like there's a scarcity, and especially a scarcity of time. So sometimes there is urgency, like, oh, the time is now, which is very different than, oh my God, I have to, or it's that I have to, or I might miss out. Major FOMO. The magician likes to create major FOMO. So watch out for that now. And of course, anytime that's aspecting your chart in ways that it can activate that depending on where it is placed. The mystic, which is the south node of the moon, the mystic is very much very, very sensitive, very, very intuitive, but also needs a bit of that quiet time to be able to tune in. Now, we always need that. I highly recommend meditation. I was, in fact, just adding something to my Sacred Wealth Mastery program, my core program with all my teachings, where I'm really here to help people to unlock their divine gifts, use that to create their wealth in the world in a way that's totally aligned with their soul purpose. And I have many meditations in there, because if we make this a practice of slowing down, quieting down, tuning in, and then maybe asking the right questions, we start to develop this trust muscle. We start to develop this intuitive muscle that we have, because everyone has intuition, and you need to know how it speaks to you. Now, the shadow side of the mystic is going to pull you away from the world and just make you wary of being or doing anything. That's not what we want to do. We want to tune in, and then we want to move in the world. Tune in, move in the world. That's inside out, moving and creating your business, your work, everything from the inside out. So this period of time, and I'll talk about this more next time because we have a big move with Saturn moving into Pisces on the 29th, right after the solar eclipse. This particular period of time has so many moving parts to it, and that your intuition, more than ever, you need this every day, but it is going to be your internal compass you can absolutely depend on no matter what. Your intuition speaks differently based on your sacred wealth code archetypes. The great visionary, which is Jupiter, the great visionary gets like these intuitive flashes, like big ideas, and we need to learn to trust and to act them, and then put this sort of the scaffolding, the pathway underneath those bigger concepts or bigger ideas. Otherwise, the visionary is just download after download, and grand idea after grand idea. But we've got to put an underpinning to it. But it is a huge gift. Not everyone is a visionary, and if you have the gift of being a visionary, you get those big intuitive hits, those big visions, then again, you'll just want to build the pathway to actualize them, and also know which ones are really yours to move forward on. The connector, instinctively knows who to reach out to. And on the shadow side, can sometimes second guess that, and then reaches out to everyone and talks to everyone a little bit too much, and then is ending up taking the information from the outside in instead of from the inside out. So what I mean by that, so you have this great intuitive download. Oh, okay, I am going to add this really cool product or service to my business, or I'm going to do this new procedure install this new procedure with my team. Oh, I'm going to change my business to, I was doing work on relationships, and now I'm going to, I get the hit to be a business coach. So maybe you have this intuitive download, right? And then you go and talk to everybody about it. So sometimes the connector can't help it, just wants to go and connect with everyone else about it, does that. And in that, now there's a lot of questioning going on, a lot of second guessing going on. We have to, with our intuitive hits too, have it be personal enough, like intimate enough, to start to have a relationship with whatever that intuitive hit is. And I'm talking about bigger grand ideas, because we also have the intuitive hit to go that way, not go that way, turn there. Maybe not going out to dinner tonight with that friend after all. We have a lot of different intuitive hits. It's important to hold them near and dear, maybe journal about them, and talk about them with somebody who is very trusted for you, a trusted, mentor. So, and then the teacher tends to feel the truth very deeply, but maybe the new download or the sage even, but maybe hesitates to share it. So, and then Mars, the engineer, the honorable warrior, tends to take action right away. And there's actually nothing wrong with taking action right away on intuitive hit. Mars likes action. Because if you continue to tune in, I believe the divine will kick your feet in the right direction. It might take longer to get there because you had to get out there and bump around a little bit more. Nothing wrong with that. Mars at its best is going to tune in and really access that energy of the strategist, which is another one of Mars's archetypes, and have a little bit more of a long range plan, a long range vision, or see it out a little further in a vision, kind of mixing some of the visionary in there as well. So this is, just a very interesting period of time. I had one of my clients reach out to me saying, hey, like I said, the energy was like great yesterday, and now I'm feeling all over the place, and I reminded her to get in her body. She has a really strong Mars, to take action by exercising, by grounding, getting in her body, because then she's going to come back to center and know her truth. So does intuition happen in our mind, in our body, in our heart, on our gut. We've been talking about all of these reference points. And there's different ways to access our intuition intentionally, like drop in and ask a question. I do that in all my meditations and all of my trainings that I've created. And then there's just the intuitive hits that we have. I'm a deep meditator, so I meditate, 45 minutes to an hour every day in the morning. And during my meditation, I might have downloads about things, intuitive hits. And at the end of my meditation, I may or may not, just kind of depends on the space I'm in, ask for some clarity about things, ask for to be delivered with some intuition. Some of that is meant to move on. Some of it sort of just kind of goes into the storage bank for a little while and needs to mature. But in order to know what an intuitive hit even feels like, it's really important to play with your intuition, to be tuning in regularly. And one of the keys here is whatever you're having an intuitive hit about, we're just going to talk about some of the alignment around, knowing what an intuitive hit is and do I follow it? What do I do? So does it feel expansive or does it feel contractive to you? Does it feel open? Does it feel closed? Does it feel light? Does it feel heavy? So this is one of the things to really notice, because sometimes people confuse having an intuitive hit, again, like, oh my gosh, I just created this whole funnel for my business, and oh my gosh, now I'm afraid that it's directed at the wrong client, or there was a better way to do it and I should go buy this program and now shift it over here. Is that coming from like, aha, or is that coming from, oh no? It's that, because if it's coming from fear, it isn't truly usually your intuition. Even if it's something that is turning you away from something, it'll show up as something that is turning you towards something. When it's a true intuitive hit, you will tend to feel kind of neutral, actually, just like, oh, yeah, of course we're going to turn left instead of right, even though we always turn right. It's like this, oh, yeah, of course. It's got this sort of neutral feeling to it. So one of the things to ask yourself, like you're getting that download, okay, it's time to shift courses. It's time to shift directions. It's time to create this new product. It's time to hire. It's time to fire. And does it feel expansive on the other side of that? It might not feel expansive to actually fire someone, but it might feel expansive to let them go and have somebody more aligned in that position. Another question you can ask yourself, is it aligned with my sacred wealth code gifts? Is the intuitive download coming something that's really within my gift set? Like when I had the intuitive download to open my yoga center, Yoga and Beyond, I was teaching in two different places. I had a big hall that I rented, but I also had a studio at home where I saw private clients or just, a couple of people at a time. And when I had the intuition to, wow, it's really just time to get my own space, there was a couple things that happened at the rental space, and there was more demand than there was ability for me to fulfill the demand in the spaces that I had. But when it's actually my husband who showed me, he said, oh, they're building this building. So I went down and looked at this building, and I just couldn't quite see it. I couldn't quite see it. And I was like, no, it's a no. But then after a couple of days, it wouldn't let go of me. And I've got the literal intuition to go check it out again. And maybe it was the light. Maybe they had finished it a little bit more. Something shifted. And because I did follow that intuition and I did go look again, as I was walking around, I landed in the perfect place that I would be leading classes from, because it was an odd-shaped room. It wasn't just a traditional square. It was like an L, and I couldn't quite figure it out in my mind before. So by following that intuition to go back again, I was able to see it, and the whole vision just, boom, it's just like, boom, like a book unfolded. Now, because 5 years later, I was called to let go of that, was that a wrong intuition to follow? Absolutely not. It was right for the time. It led me to where I needed to go next. And some of that was, with a lot of twists and turns and bumps along the way, but it was part of my soul's journey. And some of what we go through, a lot of what we go through, I want to say, when we take that curvy road instead of looking back going, wow, I could have just gone from there to there, that, A to B point, and instead we went around the block 17 times up and down the hill and 3 countries later. Well, and that's because our soul directs us to pick up pieces of ourselves and sort of kicks our energy around in different directions. And if we are making choices that maybe aren't fully aligned with where we are because we have unconscious patterns playing out, then we're always going to be given an opportunity to sort of bump up against the environment, our choices or whatever, to come back and collect ourselves and come back to center. So it is a circuitous road. And we say with the eclipses, actually, that they don't move in straight lines. The serpents represent them, and they really bring this curvy path in. Nothing wrong with that. It is about the journey, as cliche as that is, because if we had everything we already desired, we'd probably be bored with that and we'd want to expand into something else. All right, back into understanding how you're making that choice, or whether it's really aligned, that intuitive hit is really aligned with you. You can ask yourself, are you making this choice from love or fear? We were just talking about that. Like, is it something that like you feel settled in your heart about? Or are you moving away from something in fear? It's not, sometimes we're in fear and we need to make a different choice, but we don't want to make the choice based on the fear. We want to resolve the fear first and then allow the choice to be clear. So when to trust your gut versus when to gather more data. This situation is, I think we're always doing a combination of both. I certainly do a combination of both. So my gut will absolutely give me an absolute yes, an absolute no. I, in fact, created a big shift in my business a few months ago, and as far as programs and such, and started some things. And then I got the hit that, wow, I actually need to, I don't want to say shift back to where I was focused before, but I needed to consolidate, which meant that my focus was to be put more on my Sacred Wealth Mastery program and working with entrepreneurs, conscious leaders to really unlock their gifts, align their next level of success with their soul blueprint and the timing of that and their soul purpose. And I've always done that work, and I do that work throughout whatever I do. But I had sort of diversified and broken that out in different ways. And then I got the download about 6 weeks ago, like, you need to consolidate this all and focus in this one major program because it's comprehensive for everything. And that's Sacred Wealth Mastery. So I changed some things and now I'm changing them back. Has that taken me extra time and energy? Absolutely. I've learned a lot along the way. Sometimes we have to, and I've been under the eclipse pattern very strongly. So no wrong choices, but sometimes we have to move and understand and move with it. We might gather something from it that it's not why we went in that direction. I gathered a lot from a rebrand, a shift in identity in some ways, or I would want to say evolving more into my more authentic expression. I started this podcast. That's part of it. I'm not giving this up. I love this. And so sometimes we have to move in what looks like maybe a so-called wrong direction, or a direction we're not going to hold in our business for a long period of time. But there's some good that comes out of it, 100%. Now, did I overthink? I didn't overthink when I made the moves, which is great, followed my intuition. When I started to overthink is when I started to question things, because my intuition was leading me, again, sort of bringing me back home again. So now I know you've got too much going on. You've got to consolidate. Now, also Saturn's moving into a place in my chart that is asking me to consolidate things. And so I knew that was coming up. I thought I was kind of doing that, but I kind of missed the mark. So I'm being corrected. Not a problem. I'm just moving with the energy. It's only a problem if I think it's a problem. It's not a problem. Learn a lot along the way. And I'm feeling, once I got out of overthinking it all, like, oh gosh, I have to do that and that and that. Once I just let go of all that and just started to move, things come together. That reorientation can come together very, very quickly. So I'm curious what's going on for you. Where are you being called in different directions? Where are you trusting? Where are you not trusting the intuition that's coming through? And where you are just in the confusion, where you don't have clarity, that is where you want to do the work, because clearing your blocks to intuition is going to pay off, 10,000 fold. Because when you can really trust that inner voice, you can trust that internal compass, and you can trust that even if you make a move later that you wouldn't have made, I'm not going to say a wrong move because of everything I just said, then if you know that there are no wrong moves, so to speak, that this is you finding your way, this is you gathering up parts of yourself, you will just move, and you'll move fluently and you'll move quickly, and or you'll won't move. There's times you'll just be told to sit back, just hold back and lean back and let's see what's going on. So the number one reason I see that conscious leaders, entrepreneurs block their intuition is from all the external noise, the opinions of others, the fear that creates, and the overthinking that creates. When you fill your mind with so much, constantly scrolling social media, the news, you're looking outside of yourself. It's fine to be learning things, but if you're learning, you're on YouTube all the time, then you don't have any free drive left for your guides, for your sacred wealth code to speak to you, for your intuition to land. And you don't have the quietness. I want to say that it's the space to know what feels like a yes, what feels like a no. I know intuition can feel mysterious, but it's not some magical power that only a few people have. It's a muscle you can strengthen. And when you do, it changes everything in your business. Yes, some people maybe are a little more intuitively wired up. I'm super intuitively wired up, and I've been practicing it for a very long time. When I was very young, I lived on my own when I was very young, and I was on my own in situations that I really shouldn't have been on my own in, and had to make decisions and choices where really it would have been better to have some adults making those choices for me. But that's not the way my karma played out. And in that, there was something that always showed me the way. And as that happened, I wasn't thinking about this, when I was 8, when I was 10. I wasn't thinking like, oh, there's my intuition. But it's like there was nothing outside of me giving me the information on what to do. But the answer, where to go, what to do, just kind of bubbled up. So I learned to trust that very early because of being in some difficult situations. And that just really was part of my journey. And this is something I teach people, and this is just part of my gifts. And what I have seen is that everyone can learn to use their intuition. And as a conscious leader and entrepreneur, it is the place that you may get locked up the most, because it feels like there's a lot at stake. And whenever you mix money into the equation as well, then, and especially when you mix money into the equation, well, okay, well, if I follow that hit, if I do that and I create that or do that program or I launch that thing, okay, well, I'm going to make this and this and this. And then if you don't, then you think you were wrong or bad, and not necessarily. Not necessarily. Again, it's a circuitous path. Is there specific timing? 100%. There's a whole language of timing, which is another thing that I work with deeply with my clients and in Sacred World Mastery about, okay, what is the time? What is the best time to launch? When is it the time to make the shift? I've got the hit to do it. What's the timing around it? Timing does matter. Not all times created equal. If you do it at the wrong timing, it just might be harder. Okay, there's no big deal. It just might be a little bit more challenging. But there are times to do things when the wind is at our back. And it's really good to know because, for instance, you might not be aware of, wow, I might have to move home, or there's going to be some stuff going on with my kids or whatever. And had you known that, you might have made a different timing choice. So this is an understanding, again, what our soul blueprint timing is very, very helpful when we're starting projects, when we're leading things, when we're, what we're going to launch, when we're going to stop, when we're going to pull back, when we're going to change. So these things are all, divine timing is absolutely a sense that you feel on a certain level, something I can absolutely read in your chart. But again, if you're willing to continue to step back, tune in, meditation's wonderful for that, walks in nature, talking with people who are of the same, level of consciousness and mentorship, as far as where there's reflective questions for you, as opposed to telling you what you should or shouldn't do, because most people will be telling you that from what they believe or from what they fear. So these are just important things to notice. Now, in order to get past the noise, here's what I want to invite you to do. Okay. We're going to do this really quickly. And you want to make more space for this in your life. So that means you need to make more space in your consciousness and in your mind and drop down into your heart a whole lot more. So I want to invite you to, if your hands are free, put a hand on your heart. If you're not driving, to close your eyes and to take a couple of long, deep breaths, breathing in and out through your heart. Your heart knows the way. You can feel if something is right on for you, if it's not. You can get an answer if you need an answer. So take a couple of deep breaths in and out through your heart. Close your eyes. I'm just going to energetically help us just move very quickly with this. I have all kinds of practices for this. And I want to invite you to drop down through your nasal cavity, the top of your throat, the base of your throat, the top of your chest, right down into the very center of your chest. Take a deep breath in and out through the very center of your chest, dropping into your heart space. When we bring the mind and heart together, we make a shift there. Just in that, we align. You connect with the unified field. You connect with possibilities, all kinds of possibilities. If there is something on your mind, on your heart that you're looking for clarity about, is it a yes? Is it a no for you? I want to invite you just to bring that into your awareness in your heart space. This could be the next step in your business, someone to work with, something you're going to launch, something you're pulling back from, whatever it might be. So hold that without opinions, just like invite it into the space. And then notice if you are going to move with it, does that feel light for you? Does it feel open? Does it feel expansive? Just depending on your internal reference system? Or does it feel more heavy or contracted or closed in some way? Just notice that. And then let's take it in the other direction. This may be the same thing, or it may be something else. Why don't we work with the same thing? So take the same thing that you were just bringing into your awareness, and with the energy of, okay, you're not going to move with it. You're not going to do it. You're just going to take a step back from it. And notice how that feels. Does that feel more expansive for you? Does it put you at a sense of ease? Or does that feel contracted or heavy in some way? So just notice what you notice, allowing that to be a big yes or a big no for right now. And that's a practice you can do anytime if you pull yourself away enough to get quiet enough. And then we'll layer on one more thing to that, and that is, and another way you can work with this, and with whatever that is, or if there is something else you want to bring into your awareness now, because you have a lot of things going on, because it's a very interesting period of time. And you can just tune into what's an inspired action I could take to move forward with this. But if you are looking for some help in letting go or leaning back from something or letting it go, you can ask it the other way. What's an inspired action that I could take to let this go, to step back from it? Just curious what's coming up for you. But your heart does know the way. And taking the time to just tune in regularly. But you've got to pull away from all that noise. So I want to encourage you that instead of, opening up your phone and scrolling, or, getting on social or the news or whatever your jam is, okay? Instead of doing that over the next few days, what if in those moments you were going to do that, you just took a moment? You went outside, you put your feet on the ground, you closed your eyes, you breathed through your heart. You held what is, percolating for you just in your heart space. Got quiet. I guarantee you, your intuition is going to start to speak to you in a bigger way, in a much bigger way. Lots more on this subject, and I look forward to continuing to dive into it with you over our time together here on your Best Kept Secret to Success. And we're going to do an oracle card reading. And also, I did have a question. Give me just one moment here. I did have a question from last time around divine timing that someone sent in. So I want to just talk about that for just a moment. So the question here is that, okay, I have something to launch in my business. I already feel behind. It should have been launched a couple of months ago. And now I'm just about ready to launch it. But now we're in this, this crazy period of time. What do I do? Do I wait till it's done, over, or do I launch it? Okay, this is going to depend more on your actual chart. So since I'm not looking at your chart, here's what I want to instruct you with. I should say guide you with, is that if you take the exercise we just did, and if it feels light to move forward with it, because I just feel like you have a little bit of fear around this, so just put the fear down, just put it down. And allow yourself to move forward with it in a very fluid way. So maybe do a soft launch. Do something that doesn't feel like it's going to put a lot of pressure. And then once we get past mid-April, like April 12th or 15th, Venus is going to go direct, Mercury will be direct, we'll be past the eclipses. And then if you look at that timing for launching more like strategically, but at this point, allow yourself, if it feels light enough to move forward in a way that's, so maybe you're making connections with people. Maybe you're doing just a soft launch on social media. Maybe you're sort of, doing just a doors open. So soft launch at this time so that you can play with it and be creative with it. And then more strategic if you want to do it that way and set some real dates after as of mid-April and beyond. Okay. So it doesn't mean we have to let go of something, but how we go about it is different. So you want to go about it fluidly, tune in with your intuition. And then if you're just getting like, it just feels all too much, then just wait till mid-April, because not all time is created equal. And if you move at a time that is more supportive, it's going to be, exponential compared to moving through a time that's really too challenging for you. Okay. But it doesn't mean we don't move forward. So we're going to do an oracle card reading. I'm going to pick 3 cards. You can choose card 1, 2, or 3. If you have a question, trust your intuition on what you're asking or what you're choosing about. You can take the whole reading as the answer to your question, or you could take the whole reading just kind of collectively and what's going on for me. So this is from the Sacred Wealth Code Oracle deck. So the Oracle deck, my Sacred Wealth Code book, Unlock Your Soul Blueprint for Purpose and Prosperity, and my journal are all available on my site and on Amazon. I believe the link is with the show notes. Okay, so okay. All right, We got our 3 cards here. Oh, interesting. Okay, beautiful. So our first card here, for those of you who picked the first card or just listening in for all of it, is the Advocate. This is one of Saturn's cards, and it's I align for the greater good for all. I am hearing this loud and clear for those of us that are concerned about the collective and some of the things that are happening in the world. No matter, I'm not talking about what side of the fence you're on or anything like that. We are in a highly changeable place right now. So with this, remember, I'm being reminded to remind you to hold the vision for what it is you do want and not what you don't want, and connect with others on that. Too many people are getting hooked in what they don't want, and that's not going to create what you do want. You have a gift to give, and if you're actually giving it, then you are going to be supporting the collective. If you're holding your gift back, you are not going to be supportive to the collective. The Magician, this is the north node of the moon. This is Rahu that's creating the solar eclipse on the 29th. This is our master manifester, but also our master confuser. So we talked about intuition today. So this is reminding you to use your creativity for the greater good. But I'm reminded to tell you that if you're feeling like something is complicated, or you're feeling really intoxicated with it, you're under the spell of the Magician, and you need to come back to what is the intention of what you're creating. And in that intention, that you move clearly forward with the intention, but not, and steer away from complication. Some of you got a lot of complication around you in your field. And then with the Honorable Warrior, I take a stand for positive change. The Honorable Warrior is Mars. This is actually asking you to move from inspired action, like we were just talking about. Make sure it is moving towards what it is that your mission is, and not against something. Some of you, and that doesn't mean that we don't, we're not advocates for things and such, but you will do more good for standing up for what you're for than what you are against, whether that's in your partnership, whether that is in your business, whether that is for the causes that you take a stand for in the collective. But you standing in your gifts is one of the best things you can do for the collective. I would love to hear from you. So ask Prema at Solutionary, SOUL, solutionary.com. Link is with the show. Take my Sacred Wealth Code quiz. You can grab that link here too as well. It's on my website, solutionary.com. Get one of your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes. My link for my readings and everything else is down below. I look forward to tuning in with you, or seeing you maybe even next week. And again, you can always call in as well. This is an interesting time, but remember, there's something in this for you. So keep asking, okay, what's in this for me? Tune in with your intuition. Take those quiet moments so you know what it feels like and you know what you're hearing, and take the urgency out of the equation or anything that's creating too much urgency. And that way you will be tuned in instead of being tuned out. I'm Prema Gurreri, leading Vedic astrologer, creator of your Sacred Wealth Code, and intuitive business strategist. And it's my pleasure to be with you here. So much love to all of you.